Oh, George, how are you doing, mate? Okay.
Yeah, fine at the
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Where was home for you as a kid, and what did home look like for you?
Well, I was born right down in Sims Cross area,
Yeah.
Widnes obviously, and Travis Street. Um, Two elder brothers at first in the house,
Yeah.
terrace house in Travis Street, yeah, Sims Cross. Then obviously we had a big family in the end. It was six, seven brothers and one sister.
Right. So
The
do you
youngest
reckon
of us all.
was she? So do you reckon that's where the competition come from with you and your brothers?
Not really. No, not between us. My elder brother, our Tommy, he played. Well, he'd be able to sort of played amateur from the start as you do, and he played, and he used to say he was about 5 years older than me, Tommy, and then our John was in between. And they played amateurs ahead of me, type of thing, school, then under 17s, under 19s as you went on
Yeah.
progressed. Tommy the elder on, he was at that time he still had to go in the army. He was
Yeah.
just before they finished with taking them conscription type of thing, obviously.
Yeah.
And then he played he was playing local amateur in Widnes, and Widnes wanted to sign him at the time. And because he must obviously he was a fair player, I believe. Well, I think I was a few years younger watching him.
Yeah.
Widnes wanted to sign him, but he was drafted away with the army then to Kenya. He went out there for over 18 months. Over 2 years he was in the army. He was over 18 months out there.
Right.
So he didn't sign for Widnes before he left because it was all done and dusted. He was gone and gone within a week or two before signing. He was off to Kenya, but he played and represented the army out there.
Yeah.
And when he came back out the army after his national service, as it was, came home, and we went back down to Widnes, so they'd asked him to go down, and the different setup at the time, a different coach was there, Joe Egan was there at the time then, and he sort of said to him, well, when you get fit, he knew he'd been there before he went away, which was been just over 18 months he was away. He said, well, so if you go and get fit and come back, he said, and we'll have a look at you,
Right.
which he didn't feel happy with because he'd been playing for the army and playing here and there over him when he was in Kenya, representing the army.
Yeah.
And he had mates of his who was playing down at Liverpool City, as was at the time,
Right.
like Will Funt and Colin Parker and all these people, all from Widnes.
Yeah.
So he went and joined them playing down at Liverpool City himself,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So what did school look like for you? Was there any rugby involved at school and stuff?
Well, I played actually. It's funny, you see, in St Mary's, which was our junior school,
Yeah.
it was all under 11s. That was the age you played to.
Right.
I used to train in the schoolyard, taking pass in the schoolyard, and then we played. And I played a few games there because you didn't have many throughout the season. We just played like Sims Cross and Farmouth School, and I think they were the only three that we played like with rugby league. And so I played in the under 11s as it was obviously
Yeah.
11 years age, and that was like the school I played for, obviously. And then after that, we were there at St Mary's and that till we were 13.
Right.
So going to secondary school, which was Fisher Moor, but it wasn't completed. The school, it was sort of they were only half built, Fisher Moor,
Right.
and the likes of St Mary's School and St Bede's. We didn't go till we were 13 at that time because, as you can say, the school was half finished.
Yeah.
And St Patrick's and St Michael's, who was smaller in area, they went to the 11 years of age, but because they would accommodate us in the Marys and the Beats,
Yeah.
still at the school, it was like 13 until the school was completed. 2 years later, they were going at 11 years of age.
Yeah.
But I went when I was 13 to say to Fishermore,
Yeah.
and so we was started off, as you say, with the PE and everything with in the gym with the
Yeah.
teachers, Peter Quinn and that, and we played rugby, and then obviously the school team played for Fishermore. But I think I got a bit lazy, a couple of us, and we ended up just playing when we had to having games, and on seems on the days we were supposed to be playing rugby, some of us was hiding and blowing up balls in the room in the storeroom and
Yeah.
things, ready for all the lads who was. But we played, but I didn't really represent the school because I said I didn't. Got a bit lazy at the time for a bit. I just didn't seem to. Not that I didn't want to play it.
Yeah.
We got away without having to do it.
Yeah.
In the fishing war at the time.
Any club rugby, George?
Well, it was after I left school then.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, as it happened, I wasn't able to play for a couple of years after because I started work when I was 15 in Widnes Bus Garage.
Yeah.
And I was working with the fitters. Or that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to go into a mechanic fitter, like, diesel fitter anyway. And I was working with one of the fitters there for a spell, like for nearly about 12 months really. But he was committed mostly to doing brakes and lifting springs and all this. And the trouble was, wasn't very big really when I left school. And after about, I think it was about 8, 9 months or so of doing it, 10 months, and I took ill and my stomach pains in my stomach, and didn't know what was up with me at all, like, and ended up with the doctors, and I ended up in emergency. I collapsed, and they ended up in hospital in emergency. And my stomach, from all accounts, had twisted because of lifting heavy weights and things. And
Well, you was how old were you?
I was
16.
16 at the time. I just turned 16. Yeah, so they ended up in hospital. Had one operation, and but I think I'd gone in as an emergency. Because I was in pain with my stomach, and it was done later on in the evening. It wasn't a consultant; it was one of the registrar doctors who'd done it. So he did the operation, and I was there in the hospital in Weston. And after probably a week or so, it didn't seem that it was getting much better. There was still something wrong, but the consultant, I always remember Mr. Little Italian man, can't think of his name at the moment, but anyway, he was the consultant who was overseeing the registrar who'd done that operation. And he could see that he must have x-rayed and knew that there's something still wrong.
Yeah.
Mr. Martini, his name was, had just come to me. And I remember him coming to me and saying this, like, he said, look, the allergy said, going to have another operation, he said, but I'll be doing it this time, and I'll make sure you're right. He said, because obviously he was concerned, and
Yeah.
because I said previous to that, but when it did collapse in the same Mary's club I was playing snooker, I was only 16, and I ended up they sent for the priest. I was anointed in there because
Yeah.
and then again in hospital after the second operation. I mean, my religion, big Catholic, and
Yeah.
they thought I mightn't have come through.
Right.
But fortunately, everything come good. I was in hospital for quite a few weeks.
Must have been scary, George.
Well, for me, I didn't realise what was happening. I was
Okay.
only 16 at the time, and you just thought, oh, and when they said everything should be fine now, you thought, oh, that's all right then,
Yeah.
and the way it was. And obviously, I came home then, but they'd recommended the doctors that I didn't go back doing heavy work.
Yeah.
They had to have it was quite a few months type of thing. And well, I'd have actually gone back to the bus garage, but they didn't recommend it really to do what I was doing. So I started working Widnes in Timpson's factory, which they used to have at the back of the shoe shop, with a few younger fellas like myself, and we was on machines doing on repairs to shoes. We didn't do that, and we were there on using machines to But so I was in there for a while. Uh, then from there, I got a bit fed up with it after a while because it was. They met my wife in there actually more. And she came. She was working across the road in a relations shop when she just left school for a while.
Right.
And then she came to work over there and they offered her a job. But that was how I met my wife, Maureen, obviously.
Meant to be, mate, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was 17, she was 15, at the time.
Yeah.
And anyway, I went onto the power station then. And so then I wanted to take up the rugby again after a year or two when I was feeling all right.
Yeah.
And started playing with our ladies first when I was 17.
Right. What did they have a club side? Did they?
Yeah, our ladies under Peter Stapleton, under John Stapleton, his son, him and there on it was our ladies youth club had come from.
Right.
And there was a few different lads who played at Widnes at the time,
Yeah.
So we went from there.
Was you worried when you went back, because of how serious it had been?
Well, I wasn't like because it was like over a year. It was probably best of 2 years because as
Okay.
I said, I hadn't really done anything. I was 17, and that happened when I was like 16.
Yeah.
But I hadn't played from when I was 15 to 16. Really, after I'd come out of school.
Yeah.
Uh, And then it was like I say, I was 17 then, and I wanted to get back into having a game and things. And
Yeah.
so that's when I joined our ladies under 17s. And I was with them for the season, 2 seasons we went into. And then after that, started playing open age with the Derby Arms, which was come from Sims Cross. It was we were all sorts of Sims Cross people. And an uncle of mine, he started the Derby Arms
Yeah.
at that time, and we were all local lads really.
Yeah.
And it was a good combination because there was a lot of us who signed for Widnes as well. John Marr, Paul MacDonald, Molly Farmer, Joe Walsh come from junior football. We were all similar age about at the time,
Yeah.
18, 19. When we
Okay.
started, we went into the open age, and their side was just 2 or 3 signed for Widnes like myself. Molly Farmer was the same,
Yeah.
Johnny Marr, Paul Mac.
Because from 17 to open age is a big jump in it, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And and then we had quite a few, like as I say, my uncle, Jack Graham, Shamey Hume, they were like in the late 20s, which they was like playing and they were looking after
Yeah.
4 or 5 of us who were all younger ones. And
Right.
so it was a good team it was, and sort of only ran for a few years because it was we finished and then well, Sims Cross started after that. Then it was more or less the same, the same area. It was all from the Derby Arms was all Sims Cross lads
Yeah.
played there.
So how did the chat come about to sign for Widnes?
Well, I was playing with the Derby at the time then, and I'd been approached by a couple of other clubs. Wallington had approached me, and Salford, but all I wanted to do, so I just wanted to play for Widnes.
Yeah.
And I didn't think what it was happening at the time. It was still open, obviously, but Joe Egan had took over as coach at the time as well. And anyway, the scouts wanted me because they were local people, and Joe Egan, not calling him, he was bringing people from Wigan. He was a Wigan Joe, who played and coached at his time.
Yeah.
So he said to me because they thought, well, I'm going to go to Wellington or somewhere at the time. So they said to me, we want you to have trials. This was like Joe Egan.
Yeah.
And it was at the end of the 65, 66 season. I was just 21 still then.
Right.
And so I played the last games of the season in 60, 65, 66, last 3, 4 games. And talking with him after the trial game, he said to me, the committee have watched you play and we think they'd like to sign in the committee. He said, well, I think we might not be big enough. He said to me,
Right.
but he said the committee would like to sign you. So I said, oh, I'm glad with that, like, because I want to sign for Widnes. And he said, well, how much would you like? How much do you think you'd be worth? And I didn't know what to say at the time. I knew what the other lads who played in front of me had got, and he said, well, if we offer you £150 and 150 after 12 games, if you make them.
A lot of money then, though, mate, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't really, but
Oh, right, okay.
because and I said, well, I did think, I said to him, I thought, well, they got more than that. And he said, well, what did you think you'd got? Because I knew the other lads, the same three or four, they got 250 and 250.
Okay.
The lads coming from rugby union, the wage they were getting 500 and
Oh,
500.
yeah.
Well, you
Okay, I
missed
see.
out, you
Yeah,
John.
yeah. I would have got it.
So I knew that the others, Paul, John,
Yeah.
Mally, 250, 250.
Right.
So I said that, I thought I'd have got maybe 250. And he said, well, I'll give you 200. And I just said straight away, I said, well, okay, yes, because all I wanted to do was sign for Widnes,
Yeah.
and that was, so he did, he said, I'll give you 200. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, I'll sign for that, yeah. Which I did.
Yeah.
And that was the end of, like I said, that season. So
No, when you tried, did you try in the A team? Oh,
yeah,
that's what we
in
did.
the
That.
A team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was always in the A team.
And how did you find the standard there?
Well, I was all right with it,
Comfy, like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was, I was fine. I'm pretty certain I was.
Yeah.
And then we started the next season then, 66, 67 going into, and I was picked. Bob Harper was the 18 coach at the time. Bob had been there a long time, a nice
Yeah.
man. And I played into the court, the 18, the friendly match at the beginning of the season. And then a week or two after, it was the Lancashire Cup game for the first team, and then the 18 playing there again. And I was picked. He asked me to go into the first team, so I was, from me not being big enough after the trials and just played one or two 18 games, I was picked for the first team. And which obviously I was made up with because that's what I wanted. And I played 11 games on the run in the first team, which is normally a procedure used to happen. Then they leave you out because you was due your money after the 12. So I was only out for the one game, and playing the 18. Next week I was back in the first team.
How old were you?
Well, I was 21 when I signed, and I'd gone into the second season. Just turned 22 then. Like,
So still really young, mate, innit?
yeah,
Good exposure.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I carried on, and from there on in the first team playing for Widnes.
Yeah.
The next, well, I was regular, thankfully, and after a couple of years, I got the Lancashire game to play, and then the two I went away to Australia in '70, but I didn't get picked for that. But I was told I was on the short list for it, which didn't happen. But they didn't I mean, obviously they didn't make the 72 out at the time.
Yeah.
But following season was New Zealand was playing over in England, against the British team, and New Zealand was 2-1 up in the series. So it was looked at, they wanted to try and change things, bring a couple of new players in, obviously, see if you could still some of the same players. But I got my chance against New Zealand. Myself, Stevie Nash, I think there was another couple of us. Anyway, played against New Zealand and we beat them in the third game of the series. So that was fine. That was 1971.
How would they let you know, like a letter?
Yeah. Well, they let the club know first.
Okay.
They'd been selected. Then you did get a letter through from them, but they told the club that we're selecting George, whatever.
Yeah.
And
then loose forward as well, mate.
I was playing loose forward still at the time. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind, but I played when it was loose forward second row, really. But I was still playing loose forward. So as I said, that was played against New Zealand. So the following year, the procedure normally then was early on in the season, back end of the season, 72. You'd be playing France home and away, which we did.
Okay.
So I was picked to play against France, both over here and then at the game over in France. And then at the end of 72 was the World Cup, which
Right.
was in France
Yeah.
again. Like it was the term for over in Europe, like and in France. And I was picked to represent again in the World Cup,
Yeah.
which was the last time we won it.
Yeah, yeah.
50 years,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because we had a reunion a couple of years back. Unfortunately, one of my roommates, playing mates, Phil Law, he passed away only
Yeah,
a couple
recently.
of days ago.
Yeah.
As many more of the lads, you know,
Yeah.
great. But yeah, we went to France and we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We turned out the first game up, we beat the Aussies, which is
Some
it was
dude, innit?
yeah. And we won. We did. We won. Beat the Aussies, and we beat New Zealand, and we beat France. So then it was the top two went into the final. Then
Right. So would it have been like a round robin
that's what
tournament?
it
And
was.
then,
Yeah,
yeah.
played as I say, the other three teams, and the top two played for the final,
Right.
which it was in Australia again,
Yeah.
and in Lyon. So anyway, funny enough, I was looking at something that's on the thing this morning
Yeah.
from the rugby league, from our secretary John Ledger. There's things on there you could see. Now I'll show you after
Yeah.
you watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it was picked, as I say, and it was the final that to be played, and it finished up as a draw
Right.
after extra time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, that's right. It finished up as after extra time. It was a draw,
Yeah.
and then it carried on to extra time.
Yeah.
But the ruling was that it was still a draw at extra time.
Mhm.
Not sure the score at the time, but it was 10 apiece or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was still a draw then after extra time. But then we won the World Cup on merit has been beating the Australians. You know,
Yeah.
we played 4 games, 5 games, and we'd only drew one, we'd won the others. And
Yeah.
so Australia had lost one,
Right.
and we won the World Cup
On the head-to-head sort of thing.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So how did you feel your game changed from, like, personally, from playing A-League, which for listeners and viewers that might not know, that's like reserve rugby now, isn't it?
Mm.
To playing first team, then international selection, did it all happen really fast?
Well, I signed for Widnes in '66, and I represented Lancashire a couple of years after. It was within a couple of years.
Would you like that to come back, the Lancashire Yorkshire game?
Well, I would, yeah,
Yeah.
because I think you used to.
There's something in it, isn't there?
Well, you did. You look forward to
Yeah.
it, you know. You did
Yeah.
to represent your county, which was, you know,
It's a nice little mark.
yeah. And it was Lancashire, Yorkshire, and Cumberland. You see,
Yeah.
you know, so it was like a round robin there, you know.
Yeah.
And and obviously it was like trials for all the players as well to be picked for the international team.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
playing against one another, it was sort of picking the best from each county to play
Yeah.
one another. And
And were they tasty games? Like,
they were
feisty.
they were really against the counties. Yeah, they
Yeah.
really were. To be honest, it was no, there was no fun in them at all. It was quite a lot of good players obviously come through and had lads and
Yeah.
few dirty ones and all. You'd have to watch well, in every game. You have to watch who you know who they are and to keep an eye on and things like that.
When you're in them levels as well, because you're making a name for yourself at this point, G. How's it going back to your club game? Do people start to target you, mate?
Well, that I wouldn't know whether they targeted. I think you would always get that. There's always, when I played then yourself against players and you knew they were internationals, you didn't target them, but you knew they were going to
What the
rated as better players, say, so you keep an eye on them, make sure you can keep them, saying you're not looking to do something, you know that they can create
Yeah.
from.
Well, you want to leave your mark on them, mate.
Exactly, yeah. You know that they're good players, and well, everyone was
Yeah.
a decent player. Just some was obviously a bit better than others, and they would create the openings and things. So you
Yeah.
just
And what? So when you're in the midst of everything, mate, at loose, was you given a free role to play what you see?
well, yeah, really. I mean, it's playing different now. You see that some of the back rows, the one stays to the left, one stays to the right.
Yeah,
Thing.
like split the
But
field.
no, we work with for one another. You know, you got down the middle of the play, you spread out a little bit. If the ball was in their hands and it went that way, as long as you all moved across and covered, you know,
Yeah.
usually the props used to try and get near the middle, you know, as it is, you know,
Yeah.
to play the ball, and then your back roads get either side of them,
But little tips and
yeah,
things.
and
Because the handling was special then, wasn't it? Everyone
mm,
could pass and that, couldn't
well, yeah, you had lots of good ball handlers. We did have lads that played with us and all who probably was not the best with passes. I mean, I'm not saying it was wrong with that, but they were like grafters who was
yeah.
they doing the hard work up front. You put them on the hard ball coming through,
Yeah.
and they would be there to take that up in front when you wanted it. Also, they'd be the ones knocking them down and tackling. You had a good mix where you had grafters and footballers, and
Yeah.
that's
Bet you
what
wish
we
the
really
scrums are
done.
like they are now, didn't you?
Oh, well, they're still now it just.
No, it's like a big
Mm,
cuddle in it, mate.
mm.
So we speak about all these things coming up really fast in the World Cup. Did you realise? You obviously didn't because it's been years since we won it, but did you appreciate how big it was then? What was it like when you come home?
Well, when I came home, actually, I ended up in hospital.
Right, okay.
Don't know whether I told you this time
Yeah,
before, but during it was the game before the final. Actually, I got a bad cut on my shin,
mm,
and it was seen to obviously, but it didn't get stitched at the time. It was just covered over. You know, it was attended to after the
yeah,
game, and I had a bad, as I say, bad tummy shin. But I played in the final, and there was a plaster covering this cut. It was all right as far as I was concerned. And then,
yeah,
like the physio wouldn't let me play if it hadn't been right. I was trained and everything. And but what had happened seems that I'd got some dirt in it,
right.
and it was still on the inside. And it was through the game, after the game, it all was fired off. It didn't bother me through the game in the final,
Yeah,
but after the game, my leg was aching and all this, and they looked at this cut that I had on my shin, and it gone sort of it was raw red and getting septic,
yeah,
and it was
infected.
infected with what was in it.
Yeah. Well, you're losing your
So
adrenaline at that point as well,
mm,
aren't you? So you'll
yeah,
feel it, won't you?
fortunately, as I said, the game was over. It was after the final,
Yeah,
but it was like, and of course, we had a good evening after the final and everything, and then we actually were staying over there till the following day. That was all. But I ended up my leg was that sore, and that it took me straight to the hospital when we got back over here, and I ended up to see Mr O'Malley, who was over us in Widnes.
yeah,
You know, he was the witness. And he took me to the old hospital in Liverpool. It used to be called the Lourdes Hospital, and down. I think of the name of it at the time, but that Mr. O'Malley worked from there as well.
okay.
He took me down there, and I was kept in there for a couple of nights and to get
Yeah,
the
missed out on the
movement.
celebration, mate.
But as I say, it was great, so great time. You know, when we to win the World Cup in France, and
Yeah. Oh,
couldn't be better.
yeah. And so I think when I spoke to you last time, we spoke about how work were with you. So obviously people don't realise now,
Oh,
did he? But you had to go
oh
in and
yeah.
ask for a sabbatical type
Well,
thing, didn't
that's
you?
right, because I was working on the contracting. I
Yeah,
was working as a scaffolder on Fiddler's Ferry Power Station, and it was just it was just been the building of it then.
yeah,
And the company I worked for, I went and I asked for the time off, I don't think one fellow who was industrial relations officer. He don't think he was the nicest of fellows, and didn't fancy want me to go on. He said,
You
and
know,
asked him,
yeah,
and he said, "You're going for how long?" You know. Anyway, it didn't matter because someone overruled him and said it was okay to go, like for the
yeah,
time off. You know,
yeah,
they didn't pay me for it. I lost the time, but
yeah. Because it was
anyway,
about
my job.
16 weeks, wasn't it?
Well, that was this. That was the tour, wasn't it?
Yeah,
On about no January. It wasn't for the World Cup. That was which it was the same. Like, but
yeah.
we was only away about 3 weeks then.
Okay.
But for the tour and the later one,
Yeah.
74, we were away for 3 months.
So what are in it without
You
the
know,
pennies? Yeah.
and
So do you know the 3 weeks? Sorry to interrupt you when you go back, mate. So what would you play weekend, midweek, weekend?
uh, not for the World Cup. No, they were just the weekend games. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
yeah. I think we started off with Australia. And then
Yeah.
obviously there was New Zealand to play, France.
Yeah.
And but they'd have probably played the same weekend. Following weekend,
Yeah.
we'd have played the other one.
While the other two played.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we played, I should say, Australia, New Zealand, and France. So it'd have been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the final went on the top two.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you know when you go back to your club, mate, when you get towards the end of the season, when tours and that are coming, how difficult is it to not sort of, you're never an half-hearted player, I understand that.
Mm.
But is it in the back of your mind when you're playing that the tours around the corner?
Um, well, you do know that, like I say, the tours are coming up. You're hoping to get picked, but at the same time, you can't hold back because you don't want to lose your place.
Yeah.
So
Or
you
get
kind of
hurt, do you?
you're going to
Yeah.
get hurt. You
Yeah.
know. I mean, but I think the more you say to get hurt, if you start to, not saying hiding, like, but you
Yeah.
think you're trying to avoid an injury, it could be worse. You may as well
Yeah.
just get stuck into what you're used to doing, like
Yeah. It's noticed on a rugby field, mate, innit?
Mm,
If you
mm,
just be,
well, that maybe you're
yeah,
not seeing doing the, some people pick you up, but you know the type
yeah,
of job. I mean, I used to like playing, and I used to like doing it with work, really, getting about the field, which was normally the back row forwards. That was our job to,
yeah,
get around the field and that. And
yeah. Right, mate. So talk to us about the tour after the World Cup and stuff, because the reason I interrupted you, sorry, because when we've last spoke, you did play midweek games, didn't you?
oh, sorry, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, when we was on tour, we landed in Darwin of in '74 and played. We'd be playing like Northern Queensland and in different areas, Queensland, representative teams and
yeah,
things. But we started up there, but then to say seeding normally is about two teams, 26 players, something like
yeah.
that. So you play midweek game and then a weekend game.
So would it be a
Maybe
club game international?
no, yeah, no, it wouldn't be that way. No, we were in the. We were about. We were over there for a few weeks before we played international
Right.
because we played first in Darwin. Can you remember where we were? Darwin down to Cairns, Rockhampton, Maryborough.
Yeah.
So that was four games, but we'd have played midweek. Then the weekend
Saturday.
we
Yeah.
flew then down to the next one because there was
Yeah.
always an hour or two flight. Even if there. So you'd play for game when we arrived, and we'd fly down, play a midweek game in Cairns. Some of us had to play again, because you'd say substitutes and things. Obviously, you needed them,
Yeah.
and then if you started getting injuries, then we'd move to the next place, and then we went down into Brisbane.
Right.
And when we got into Brisbane, like as I said, we played an earlier team in Brisbane first of all. It's because they had their own league.
Yeah.
And then we'd be about roughly, I think we were a couple of weeks in Brisbane because we play say one of the earlier teams, and then we play Brisbane had a team from the pick of Brisbane
Yeah.
while we were there, and that was probably midweek. I think they used to plan this to give you midweek games,
Right.
so you get an half injured.
Yeah.
And then while we were there, we played Queensland, which was the pick of Queensland then,
Yeah.
while we were in Brisbane. And then we played the first Test match in Brisbane
Yeah.
while we were there, you see.
Yeah.
So we were there in Brisbane, I think it was 3 weeks from when we arrived, to play like one of the earlier teams. Then we played Brisbane itself, the pick of all the Brisbane teams.
Yeah.
Then we played Queensland, which was a pick of also Cairns, Rockhampton, from Queensland.
Mm.
And then the following weekend, then we played the first Test match.
Surprised you weren't burnt out.
Mhm. So I know, I played the most games on tour at the time. I forget 20 odd games overall, out of about 30 odd. It was.
It's some going, mate, isn't it?
They used to, you'd volunteer, put me in for it, and things.
Yeah, double up and stuff.
So, even though I'd played, and I just wanted to play and do your best. And
Yeah.
then, as I say, after leaving Brisbane, then we went from uh, Brisbane down to Sydney, but between them we had Darwin, Cairns, Rockhampton, Maryborough. What were the two teams? Tamworth, and there was Tamworth and somewhere else before we reached Sydney.
Okay.
And we played in them two places.
Yeah.
And then we moved into Sydney. And then while in Sydney, it was the same again. We played a couple of local earlier teams.
Yeah.
And then we played the pick of Sydney.
Yeah.
And then we played the second test in Sydney.
Okay.
Which we'd probably been there like maybe the second weekend.
Yeah.
Something like that. Then you'd play another midweek game then a bit later, and then we'd go in for the third test in Sydney as well.
Also, we were there for quite a while.
Yeah, we were in Sydney for probably about a month. Would have been a bit longer than we were in Sydney the longest.
Yeah.
They said 3 weeks in Brisbane, 4 and 5 in Sydney, which was, and then you're travelling, and then obviously we were over in New Zealand afterwards flew from there. So we were there 3 months in total. I think.
Some asking it, and then it ended up being first people to go to PNG, weren't you?
Yeah, we went to PNG. That was 74 or 79, I think. That wasn't when we were the first team to go. No, it was 75. It was the England team, I think.
Yeah.
Because we obviously toured in 74, and then we were over there in 75 for the World Cup.
Right.
It was, and we went as England because Wales went as well. England and Wales.
Right.
And
because you had the ding dong with Jim, didn't you?
Yeah. Millsy gave me one from behind and said, "Didn't know it was me."
Yeah. Forging copies forever.
Oh, yeah. Never let it forget.
So when you're at Widnes, mate, what trophy do you win trophies at Widnes? Because there was the Regal Cup, wasn't there? There was the Lancashire Cup, the Floodlight Cup.
No, we never. We got beat in the Lancashire Cup, didn't we? I'm trying to think. It was Lee beat us in the Lancashire Cup. I think it was.
Yeah. How was you in them big games? Did you just treat it as any other game?
Oh yeah,
You were all right.
Yeah. Because obviously, like the Widnes team at the time, we were a lot of mostly locals. They didn't have money to be buying other players in, and some out of town lads, beginning lads, and things like that. It was only a few years after that the money got invested, maybe, and there was a few players started coming in then.
Is this before you leave?
No, well, not as good like Jonathan Davis and all that. It was they started coming, later, a few years after I played, obviously after I'd finished. But there was no like big. I mean, Jim had come up from Wales. They brought a few likes of Jim, and and then afterwards, Glenn Short to Widnes and things.
Yeah.
And all clubs was bringing like like Coslets and Welchman come to St Helens and to Wallington, coming from Wales a lot, and by the years later, then you're buying them from all over the world, with houses and everything, But,
so what was the chat like when you were leaving Widnes, mate? Was it something you wanted to do, or?
No, it's the last thing I wanted to do.
Because could you have seen yourself like playing your whole career at Widnes then?
Oh yeah.
If you'd have been allowed.
Yeah, definitely. But I would never have left Widnes, never wanted to leave Widnes. And I was playing into the international team, and then Vin had took over in Cardiff, which I was made up with him coming to Widnes as well. Because at the end of the day, it was Vin who sold me, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
For a bit for a world record fee at the time.
well, it was a club fee, a definite. I don't know about the word. It was a big. It was only something like £9,000 or £10,000, but it wasn't.
A lot of money.
Witness had never had anything like that.
Yeah.
And said I'd come off the World Cup in the November.
Yeah.
2 months later, it was like the Saints maybe made a move for me. You know, asked, I don't know.
Yeah.
And Vince was trying to get money to buy players, bring players in. So
because I remember it was you were going to go straight back training, weren't you? But he told you to have a bit of time.
that's right. Yeah. Well, that was the situation because we'd say not long been we were in the beginning of the season. We playing through the start of the season before Christmas and such.
Yeah.
Well, I'd come back off the World Cup in November, actually, still through that season, and of course I still had the thing about the bad cut on my shin.
Yeah.
You know, still having that looked after, like, and we were playing, and he called us in after one game, and myself, Jim Mills, Ray Dutton, Keith Elwell, 4 internationals at the time, well, wasn't on at the time.
Right.
And he just said to us this, after this game, he said, he said, I'm leaving you out, he said, won't be playing next week. And he said to Jim, he said, Jim, you're not fit enough, you're not fitter. And to Keith Elwell, he said, I'm leaving you. And he said to me, you come back after, he said, and you need a rest throughout the game, he said, come back from over there, he said, you're not right yet, he said, not, you know, you need a rest. And I said to him, well, I'll try and play myself in. I said, he said, no, he said, well, I'd like you to stay away for a couple of weeks, he said, have a complete rest, he said, and come back and you'll feel better for it.
Yeah.
And so I stayed away on the following Tuesday, next night's training, and I got a phone call later on to say I'd been put on the transfer.
Right.
Because I hadn't turned up for training. Like,
Yeah.
So I went down, and on the Thursday night, said to Vin, you know, I trained, said to Vin, what's happened? Why put me on the transfer? And he said, well, you didn't show. I said, well, you told me to have arrested, and you said this. He said, well, he said, all right. He said, just forget about it. He said, well, he said, St. Helens been interested. They've come down for you. And the St. Helens secretary was coming down after training to see me. And I said, but the thing is, Vin, I don't want to go. I said, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, well, just when they come, just have a talk to him, he said, then and see, you know. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And I was sat in the little office with Widnes talking with Basil Laws was then. Because they heard on the Tuesday night that had been put on the transfer before I did.
Right.
Because one of the St. Helens directors used to go to Lottie Prescott, he worked for Green, he was a director for Green Knolls Brewery.
Right.
And he lived in Widnes Lorry, he was in Upton Lane. So he was going to the golf club and all in Widnes, and he got told I'd been put on the transfer on the Tuesday night.
So they that did quick then,
So Laurie heard that, and he rang Saint and he said, you put George on the transfer. So they got in touch the next day and said they wanted to see me. Anyway, and then there was a talking to him, and I was sort of saying, well, I said, I'm not, I want to stay here. It's, I'm not looking for, I didn't ask for a transfer. And he said, but we'll offer you so much for myself, like, and thing. And I said, well, I'm not really. And then I did hear outside the room, he had been come past and hear him say, has he signed yet? Has he gone? So
the little nudge you needed, really.
So I thought, well, I may as well go. That's that's sort of an assignment.
Yeah. No, it's a shame in it, but all good things come to an end sometimes, don't they?
You've gone to a better place, obviously, a better club, and I was doing things at Widnes which I wanted, but you know, and obviously we went on then to beat Widnes at Wembley, you know, and
Yeah. How was that, mate?
oh well, it was great for me, you know.
Yeah.
It was me, and there was the three, it was me, and there was kind of trying to forget me. Yeah, that's what it was at Saints at the time. But anyway, as I said, it was after. Well, Peter Glynn had joined us, of course. Peter, who from not long passed away
Yeah.
himself. He and Peter, and there was someone else in this anyway. So it was
Extra bit of
Tony
spice, though.
Krause. Tony Krause.
Was it Tony K?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony himself, as he was playing it.
Yeah.
Tony, yeah.
Was an
And
extra
Tony.
bit of incentive there because of how they'd gone about letting you go, sort of thing.
Well, wouldn't have said that because I mean every game to me was the same.
Yeah.
I give me lot for every game. That's the way I really played. You know,
Yeah.
even though obviously it was one of them things, but I just wanted to win every game. That's simple as that. No matter who it was, you know.
No, it's
And
of course you do.
like I say, thankfully and further on while with Saints, I got the Lance Todd and Sunderland and the Man of Steel first to achieve
Oh,
all
great.
three
Yeah.
at the time and things like that.
Do you appreciate how good you are, mate? Because I know you're a bit outside of this. And I said to Johnny, obviously Johnny sorted this out, so thanks to Johnny for doing it. But like you've never spoke about your accomplishments with me at the club. You just always used to shake me hand and say, "How you doing? Well done."
Yeah.
Like you're real modest. So did you appreciate how good you was at the time? Did you feel like you were playing really well?
Well, I was enjoying it,
Yeah,
and
that
I
helps,
was
doesn't it?
being picked. That's the main
Yeah,
thing. If you enjoy it, and you're getting selected, you know, you're
yeah.
picked. So
And that's what you
that's the
stand
main
out for
thing, isn't it? That's
international rugby, innit? Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I love playing like yeah.
yeah.
So,
So how have you been with injuries, mate, up until?
well, I'd never touch wood. I didn't have too many bad injuries, but the thing was after joining Saints, after a few weeks, I broke my arm, and that was the I've
Right.
been at Widnes all of the years. I was here for over 7 years,
Yeah.
and never did anything like that. You know, I missed the odd game with there was a knock and this and that and the other, and never like that. And then I went to Saints and broke my arm. But as it happened, it was towards the end of the season. I played a few games, and there was only a couple of games to go. That was like this 73 season. It was a 72, 73 season because that's when I went into January, played for a few games, and then it was just the end of season I missed. And,
Right. So you signed mid-season as well, really?
yeah,
Yeah.
I went, as I say, after the World Cup year, and I was at Saints in the January.
Was that tricky, that?
And
Was
what?
that tricky because the season already started?
Oh, yeah, that's how
Yeah.
the seasons went, and
Yeah.
it was always
Winter rugby, wasn't it?
well, it was when it started roughly in September
Yeah.
of the season. You know, you were training mid-season, off August and that, but at the end of August, beginning of September,
You were going.
you were going. And
Right.
you played then till May.
Yeah.
Cup final was always in May, finishing the season.
Yeah.
Your league had finished, and the playoff was always like coming
Okay.
up in
Yeah.
March, April. Like you were going through the cup games and things.
So how was Saints' style compared to our Widnes players? Was it easy to slot in, Jake?
Well, I found it all right.
Yeah.
Like
It helps that you're good,
easy.
done
I mean,
it.
yeah, you're playing with. I mean, they bought me because they wanted me. I think they had a couple of their players, like the Graham Reese and a couple more, were just started retired from
Yeah.
there, and so. And they wanted to replace them. Graham was a different position than me, like, but and so was Kel. Kel was playing loose forward, but Kel moved up to prop and
Yeah.
things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the spell at Saints go, mate? What were the standout moments other than winning Challenge Cups and individual honours? You meet some great people and some
Oh,
good memories.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I played against a lot of them for long enough. Billy Bennion and Jeff Eaton and Chizzy and all these.
Yeah.
Playing against one another and not having one another at times.
That'd be it.
It's all forgotten now. I mean, with the games, you shake hands and that. You did the odd ones you don't like. I'm not saying the same. So throughout the league,
Just in general.
you'd always knew there was always a few fly ones who you'd have to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
That was the same in international.
Right.
You always knew there was one or two You'd take your head off for nothing, like, you know.
Jim.
So it was like, you just, you looked after yourself and hopefully get your eye out for others, that
Yeah.
it was not going to.
And again with Saints, mate, would you have imagined you'd have seen your career out at Saints then?
Well, I would have done. I probably wouldn't have left. Well, it was. I mean, I was into my middle 30s then, 30, 36ish, but I didn't want to finish. And but what happened? Al, who was a good friend of mine,
Yeah.
he wanted to start playing me a prop, because I mean, don't be wrong, we had like Harry Penner coming through and things like that, and I'd been playing back row. Well, mind you, it was the second row I'd started playing actually. Harry had come in and that, and then it still was fine for me. I think it's second row loose forward,
Yeah.
but it always been. But that's what Cal then he wanted to move me to prop because. It was Eric Chisnall who wanted, and Tizzy didn't want to do it, and he sent him to do back in. So Cal asked me to do it because Chizzy wouldn't, and I said, "Well, no, I'm not playing prop." Said, and instead of turning up, play, I'll go on the bench first. And it's the first time I ever had to sub in.
Yeah.
I said, "I do to do that." I said, "I don't mind moving up on the pitch if someone's hurt." Yes. I said, "But week after week, I'm not going to play the same game where I like to get around the pitch. If I'm propping and going in scrums, I'm not going to be able to open the bouts as quick and around, which I'd sooner, that's my game." And he said to me, Cal, he said, "Well, but he did know Chizzy had words with him, you see,
Yeah.
because he didn't like it. And I was getting the testimonial just started.
Yeah. And you were
And I was put in a position. Yeah, I'd been captain and I lost the captain.
Yeah.
Like Chizzy, as I say, he wanted both.
Right.
Be captain and so and it was to keep him happy and I had to be happy because I was having a testimonial like
Yeah. Do you think he probably thought that, or you just put up and shut up because you had the testimonial, maybe?
well obviously I couldn't, I wasn't going to walk away from it,
No.
like,
Yeah.
so I just said, "Oh, I'm happy to play a prop," Keller said. And I mean, and he was a good friend in a way because he was put on the spot with it and he wanted to keep us both and that, and he said to me, he said, like give the captaincy up George, I think so. I said, "Well, I don't mind Callum Dalton, we're not bad about being captain." I said, "Even though I've done it here and done it with the British team when we were away a lot. I captained the test matches when Dougie was injured and things,
Yeah.
and
Nothing bigger than that, though, George, is there?
and I said, "I don't mind." I said, "Make any of the lads." I said, "As long as it's not Chizzy who I said because of what he wanted, didn't want to play prop, wants to be captain." Well, I was going to give it to him anyway. I said, "You do what you want to do." So, which anyway, it was one of them things. And so after that, I said, "I'll go. I'll sooner stay on the bench. I'll see the season out." And, you know, and I got my testimony from it carried on, but it doesn't look good when people find out that you. So at the end of the season, I thought, well, I'm not staying in that position now. I'll retire. That was my thing. I thought, well, I'm 36. Call it a day. But in saying that, like, Cardiff started up, David Watkins started that, and John Mountain was going down. John was the next player with us, like as a player coach, well as coach, and that under David. David was running it all, and he wanted a lot of lads from up here, and it was one of the first he come to straight away. And he knew I wasn't happy, and he said, "George, come to Cardiff." He said, "Will you come down with us?" And it was not me and Tony Grounds went from Saints because Tony was on, and then Davey will come, no, surely. We've got three of us went there, and different clubs, all local lads after Daly, Paul Woods come down, Paul, and then Terry Nansen made his players debut with his Terry come down from, he was like a local amateur lad, and I got so I went down to Cardiff with him and for the season there and captained them with David, done that later on. And even then I didn't want to pack in, and I wouldn't have done. And
Some travel.
David said to me then, he said, "George," he said, "Listen, it was David was a good fella."
Yeah.
he said, look, he said, George, he said, next season, because we were going down on playing Sunday, we'd go down Saturday morning,
Yeah.
have a training session with one another Saturday afternoon, because there was Tommy David, Stevie Fenwick, you know, some them down at Williams. They had a few of the lads who was local, and there was about 10 or 12 of us going down. And he said, because of the expense, he said, they're going to have to travel down on match day next season, you know. And, so he said, and you know, we're going to have to cut out the overnight stay for the tapes. So I said, I don't mind, David. I said, you know, if I come here, you looked after me, and I'm happy to do it. If that's the lads are going to do it as well.
Yeah.
He said, man, I don't blame him. He said, I know, and George, it could have been me and David got on well. He said, but at the same time, let me tell you, Salford want you.
Right.
He said, John Mamble has gone to Salford as his coach there. And he said, Salford have come in to see if you'd be interested. Would you come there? Would you, you know,
Yeah.
if there was any. And he said to me, David, he said, I know what I'd do, George. He said, I don't think I'd want to be travelling up and down every weekend and that, you know. So he said, it's entirely up to you. He said, just have a talk to him. And then, well, when I come back home, I said, John, and he said, it was like there's another 5 grand in your hand for coming and that, you know. So what do you do? Like,
you take it, don't you? Go
and,
on. Yeah.
so we went to finished up at Salford and that, you know.
Right. How was it there? All right.
Yeah, it was fine, and there was a nice chairman there, and there was good lads was there, like, you know, and we made up, and I had the season, but I didn't want to carry on anymore then because I actually brought Frank Wilson up in as coach.
Right.
Now Frank was about as a player, he was a bit elusive, but I played at Saint with him for years, and for him to try and tell me, because that's what he was like. He was so this is the time for me to call it a day now, but you know, but I'm not Frank Wilson doesn't tell you. He showed up at training, we heard he was taking over, and so he showed his face like but he had, I don't know whether he'd played the game, he come to train, and then the next thing they were making him coach, John was finishing.
Right.
And I just thanked him for the service. I said, for, you know, for coming down. I said, but I said, at the time I retired, I said, no, so
But so what come by Paul's retirement, mate? What did you do with yourself? Because you got a lot of, you mentioned before, like get-togethers and that, mate, don't you?
Well, I still get over to catch up with lads, you know. Obviously come down to Widnes when you can get here as much fit. It's good to say it's Alex when they can, you know, catch up with them. But we do have, you know, dinners, different clubs having the Lions Association as the dinner each season and things, you know.
You got your WhatsApp group and stuff, mate, haven't you?
Yeah. It's only have that, like, if you can understand it, like. I got a smashing fella, John Ledger, who's our secretary, but he knows it's funny, the group, how it's working, and I had to talk to him about it. John, he's a smashing, he's really nice.
So, like, did the clubs reach out to you initially to come back and do like functions and stuff, or did it take someone to set the groups up?
How do you mean?
So, because really, the clubs, I think, considering how much you put to them, put your body on the line, family sacrifices.
When you go back to, I mean, as I said, obviously living here and that, I got involved by the lads and that. I mean, Jim's always been a friend and that. And Jim, he shows up, you know, and Jim's a personality, and you know, but like, because we started when Ray Owen was back here, went back a while, and you know, after obviously Ray had been well finished and he'd been on the committee, but it was when he'd done the ground up really, you know, and he sort of started a past players association from here, which we hadn't had running, and and it was really good, you know. There were lots come, and Day Owen and Harry Owen was alive at that point, and we were going for having a dinner each year, and some of us had to form a committee with some of us, and they were having the dinner, and all our passed away and that, and I was on the committee, ended up as trading with it, and then I ended up doing. But Jim's supposed to be our chairman now, but Jim was paying it after. And you know, but we've not had, we stopped the dinner. We were having a good dinner every year
Yeah.
until COVID hit us,
Right.
and then we've not had one since. But still get down to the games, but you lose a lot of the players. Then
Yeah.
you see.
It's harder to get them back interested, isn't it?
Well, I think if we got in touch to have a dinner, they'd come down.
But listen, it is a big
Mm,
ask, mate. But you did offer so much to
mm,
the clubs. They should look after you.
yeah,
So
they gave us season tickets,
yeah,
for so many. Well, they did at Widnes now. I just picked them up last week because obviously they seem to take over there. This new man's come in,
yeah,
this chief executive made him like. And there's a few of the people who put money forward, like as directors still there,
yeah,
and they've obviously appointed him to be, and obviously he gets paid for doing it. And I rang him up because I done him. And Chris
Hamilton.
Hamilton is from Ireland, isn't he?
Yeah,
Anyway, I'd never met him, and so I think I've seen him twice, maybe. Because they said I didn't know him,
yeah,
and I went down there a couple of weeks ago and got to the reception first, and there was a girl on there because it's still on council run.
yeah. It is, mate. Yeah,
Sometimes if people are in the and just went to reception, it was only a girl and said, "Oh," I said, "I just want to go into the rugby club, love, because it's down the corridor."
yeah,
And she said, "Oh, are you out? Did he know you're coming out?" I said, "Oh, obviously you don't know me, love." I said, "I'm a past player." I said, "And said I'm going to see, Chris Hamilton, the past players." So, well, she said, "All right." So they had to press the button while I go through that door and walk
yeah,
down the corridor, because we go through for going upstairs. And then at the end of the corridor, there's the big office where I used to go in there like last season and that before, and there'd be 5 or 6 in there, it's a
yeah,
big place. And there's only 2 people in there, which I didn't know. I looked and pressed the button because I couldn't walk in. And
yeah,
I'd see it, you could see this that way and out the car. Anyway, this young tall, that family, and come to the door and he pressed the button, he opened it, he said, "All right, mate," he said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, can you help me?" I said, "Well, obviously," I said, you don't know." He said, "Well, I've just come through." I said, "My name's Charles Nichols." I said, just so that, and it goes with that. Chris Hamilton was sat down in the corner. I couldn't see him, he's just up.
yeah,
And he heard me saying, he shouted, "Oh," I said, "George," he shouted, "come in," you know. And of course he knows who I am.
yeah,
I said, "Hello," Chris. I said, "I'm just come down on behalf of the old past players." I said, "I don't know situation whether you're still going to allow the season, tickets
yeah,
for match days." And he said, "Oh, we will do, George." Yeah, he said, "Sure." He said, "Oh," I said, "Yeah." He said, "What's that?" So I said, "Well," I said, "Well, we was always in the same place in the stand,
yeah,
together, two rows of 10, like."
yeah,
So he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll get them ready for you," he said, because there was 2 or 3 weeks to go before
yeah.
the thing. But I'll have them sorted, he said, and give you a ring when they're ready, he said, and you can pick them up. And I said, "All right." I said, "Yeah, thanks very much." I said, "Appreciate it, like, on behalf
Yeah.
of the lads." I said, we've always looked after them, which all clubs do,
Yeah.
So thanks very much. And, and anyway, I left. And then they got, like Carl to say, but Donna, who used to be in the office, Donna, she used to be there, but she's usually in the market now, and there's one
Okay.
thing Donna.
Yeah.
And I think it was Donna rang me to say they were ready after a week or two, like so. But she had them down there. I said, "I can drop them at your house, Joe." She's all right, Donna.
Yeah.
Donna Ed, that's the
Right.
lad who plays.
Oh, Joe.
Joe,
Yeah.
Joe. Yeah. Donna used to be in the office herself doing it, but I don't know how many's in the office
Oh
normally.
no, it's
There was only 2 that day.
yeah, it's tripped that.
And anyway, so we picked them up. And then the lads who were coming, if they come in regular, because you're all the older ones.
Yeah.
And like the 2 youngers come usually, but not all the time. Sometimes they don't ring because they know someone who's got a box or something.
Yeah.
But like Ralph Linton never used to miss, but Ralph's not been. And the Joe Argent, Ronnie is, Polo Mazamalai, he passed away last week.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I believe, I didn't know
Yeah.
myself until anyway. And then we had quite a few that come along, Red Dotton has come now again. So, but what the procedure was, It's always giving them the ticket, and you're only going to come to just 20,
Yeah,
and you wouldn't get 20 there. But if you come in each time, then I said, well, you may as well keep the ticket.
yeah,
And I had probably about 10 or 12 here, and give
yeah,
the others to them. So the others, if they were coming, George, I'm coming, can you put my name down?
yeah,
So when I go down for the match, then I'd be always down there about one half, one to go to
yeah,
the pint before, and just tell them about which was the procedure.
yeah.
Tell them your name will be on the door. So the girl on the desk had said, it's three past players coming up. So the tickets, pull them in, you just lock them in, and then
Yeah.
they'll be coming through.
So sentiment wise, sorry mate. Were you someone that kept jerseys out or programs?
I've sort of what John, have you
So
got
like,
any?
yeah, so I'm quite sentimental. So if I
Oh,
was
yeah.
as good as you, I'd have kept stuff.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Show you one in a minute. It's
Yeah,
what the lads got done for me, but I've got my World Cup one.
yeah.
I think that's the one. Then Per got it done for me. I wouldn't get in a
Oh,
minute.
that's
Yeah.
that.
Jonathan and Andrew, they
Yeah,
had it done for me. But, probably didn't keep it. Probably got me Wembley one
yeah,
at World Cup. But I'm sure they gave one of that to one of the lads. I mean, I wouldn't give them any away unless they were two.
no, I get that, mate. Yeah,
Like with Dan Per,
yeah,
Jonathan, and
yeah,
Dave, and all the other nephews. And
yeah,
so when they did get that, and they'd all wear me tracksuits. Well, there's things in the lot more telling me and bloody KFC stuff. I'm fed up. When are you going to get rid of
yeah.
all? There must be box of programs. There must have been
Yeah, class that, mate.
and all that,
Yeah,
because I used to bring programs. All the games you went, there's programs would be on for you,
yeah, you bet.
inside.
Yeah,
For you to all pick a program up, you
yeah.
put one in your pocket, bring them home, and
Nah, class that.
same. And she said, I'm fed up of bloody baggers things up in the loft, things that like I'll show you that in a minute.
Yeah. So I've got a few daft questions for you, mate.
Yeah.
So did you have any pre-match superstitions?
Didn't get just not really, but no, no. I do. There was something I'm trying to think what it was. I used to all do the same thing in a way, but nothing out of the ordinary, like
Yeah.
but you just got that way.
Like similar food and stuff like
Well,
that.
well, not so much food, but I wouldn't have anything heavy. So I was just saying, especially not match day and
Yeah,
things like that. No, never had anything like someone was tied in one boot first and all
yeah,
that. I used to get ready to say where, like, and used to use the same hook and things like that.
yeah,
I used
yeah.
to,
Just comfort.
mm,
Yeah,
nothing, nothing. I don't think I'd be ordinary. Like,
yeah.
just do the same thing all the time. Like, and
Fair enough.
you know,
Yeah. So the toughest player you played with and against, and toughest is like you can define it however you want, isn't it? It's not someone that's necessarily going to
mm,
give you the dig. It could be someone that you thought tackled really hard or used to carry really well.
there's so many. I think, to be
Yeah.
honest, John,
Right.
it'd be hard
To pick one as
pick
well.
one. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough.
I wouldn't say like Jimmy because I know Jim's reputation and
Yeah.
everything. But I mean, it'd look as if it was just saying that it would have been a mate because Jim was a big and hard player.
Yeah.
But like, you know, one of the best that he related, to be honest, I thought one of the best foreign players played against was Arthur Beats.
Right.
If you remember him, Arthur Beats.
No, well, I know of him now because of
But
yeah,
Arthur he was an Aborigine Arthur, like
yeah.
like captain.
So he was in that Aussie pack, wasn't he?
Oh, he was
Yeah.
a terrific forward. Some good lads in there and all. He was a nice fella after that. But
Yeah.
yeah, nothing on the field with that. He played it hard and
Yeah.
everything. But he was a big man, strong and everything, could run for his side. Bob McCarthy, Ronnie Coote, terrific players, nice fellas after. Honestly, decades like it was decent players, but they played it hard and we played it hard against one another. But you could chat
Yeah,
with them
the
after
beer.
and never talk. And,
So where was your favourite away ground to play at?
ooh. Well, I think we all used to like playing at Leeds because it was a top ground like
People
Leeds.
still say that now,
Yeah.
Headingley very
Reading
popular.
was always well looked after, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they used to come out in the corner, like from the old changing rooms of the cricket. Like,
Yeah, it's really
really,
popular.
they go up the other way. Like,
Yeah,
we come out this way. And
yeah. No, there's something about it, didn't we?
Oh, Headingley was always a nice ground to go and play at,
Yeah. You're not meant to enjoy it though, are you?
No, no.
And did you get good results there as well?
Well,
Is that
for
how
the
done it,
years,
mate?
like,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, thankfully, when I was at St Helens,
yeah,
when I was at Widnes, we were a middle of the road team all the time in a way,
yeah,
because there was lots of good teams and we didn't have the money at Widnes to create a lot of them. A lot of the teams we know was local lads and things at
yeah.
the time.
Just work rate, like you said, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And, most of it, don't be wrong, how many great local lads have we had, like, but
yeah,
it was all just mostly locals and the odd bond we could bring in and things like that. But it was some great lads players from Widnes over the years. Everybody, haven't we?
yeah. Been lucky. So
Yeah.
if you could go back and tell a younger you something, what would you say?
Yeah. Just to enjoy it first and just give your best, like,
Yeah,
don't just look for the opening. There's nothing you can do but just try your best and
yeah,
look for the opening and try and create something. Don't run at them if you've got to. You try and run between them and things.
yeah,
It's saying that I used to try and knock them out my way anywhere, like,
yeah,
But there's been a thing on there. I could probably show you. It's still on us before we go. Just
yeah.
it's only come on lately from the lines from John Ledger, and it's showing you how testimonial. It shows it's just on now. I
Yeah.
picked it up on the iPad this morning, and it's the game in the World Cup.
Class.
It shows you me
Yeah,
dancing through with Dennis O'Neill.
brilliant.
Dennis, when I kicked through for Dennis,
Yeah,
just a few little highlights is on it there.
class.
You can see it there in a minute. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
that's
really,
all right. Yeah. So, what was you like? So, if you'd had a few beers, mate, and you had the microphone in your hand, was you a karaoke man or not?
I have done.
What would you give us?
Well, a lot of the songs that I done on tour, to be honest, and I used to do it on tour was in my Liverpool home because
Yeah, yeah,
the lads used to like that,
yeah,
I used to sing that, and that I've seen a fourth of the things like that. George singing, does he sing in my Liverpool home? So I used to get, all the Yorkshire lads would be there, and they'd all like we'd all have a little bit of a go and things, but it's all. I get up the odd time in the club doing not that like
yeah.
singing the odd song, and
Brilliant.
but like when we'd be there, we'd be in the middle, well, not in the middle, we'd be singing, and I'd say, follow me with this one. And they all got to do
Yeah.
it. I was born in Liverpool, down by the dock,
Oh, yeah.
and they'd all would sing it, and then and they'd all be singing, Liverpool. Yeah.
Uh,
Even though it wasn't the Scouts like, but
yeah, but they loved it,
they
didn't
loved
they?
it from
Yeah,
Liverpool. It was good.
brilliant.
But I think what started that with me because he used to be Jimmy Thompson in a way. He was Scouse. He used to say
The thing
taking
is,
the piss.
you don't sound out like it, do you?
Thompson used to just
Yeah.
like to that. And I said, because he's funny, Jimmy. He said,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, Scouse. I said, no, fuck Scouse.
Yeah.
And so I was singing me Liverpool. I told him,
Yeah.
yeah, Scouse.
So if you could have a dream team, mate, of lads that you've played with, who would you pick 1 to 30?
Well, maybe I have to say it. Like
Yeah.
played a lot of,
Sounds like his hand,
yeah,
yeah.
good lads, and you'd feel off to pick one of away and they've left someone out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you can't win,
I
can you?
mean, going with Widnes Born lads, as I said, from there, Dalton, a great full back, Dennis O'Neill, for me, one of the best things ever in tennis. Pity that the injuries he come through, but God, in his head, because he played the World Cup with us, he could go like lightning and,
Right. Yeah.
he'd get round men and when he went, yeah, Dennis was a great player, I think, with Dotto,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had other good players, like, Mary Aspie and all them, but they never reached the height
What
of
they
them, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like Tony Fowler's gone through and all as another international,
Yeah.
his place regular and things, and, Mick Adams, of course, you see, wouldn't forget Mick, and really Mick, even though Mick was good, he couldn't make his team he was in the first and then moved on to, you know what I mean? He was on the two,
like a squad player though.
but he did. He was on the bench type of thing in that, you know. Mick. Mick was a good guy. You know, was a great player. I think he was a good player. Obviously, you know. I mean, he was a good footballer, Mick, and he's got about the field. He could kick a ball and everything. You know, so, yeah. Lots of good lads. You forget it really well, you know. Obviously, look at Frank Marr and we thought people to forget.
No, that's it.
About, you know,
Right, thank you.
You know,
Cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
and,